with us, I think we're frequently talking about accountability. But usually when we talk about accountability, it's tied to politicians. But to your point, Carrie, it's also the media. I mean, some people don't realize that the media is such a huge part of the political system, because they're the ones that kind of give us our reality of what we think is going on in the country, and they're who we rely on of what's happening in the world. If somebody's talking about actions the president's doing, some of the way they're describing it is subjective, and it's not always honest. Especially the mainstream. They both sides can lean things to make it sound better for their side. And that shapes our reality. That shapes what Americans understand is going on in the country right now. And so to Carrie's point, part of this infrastructure we're building is building a network that empowers journalists, independent media like that, but also start connecting a rating system that citizens can actually rate them, and basically build an incentive structure that they're incentivized to be as objective as possible, be as nonpartisan as possible, and giving as honest truth as they possibly can. It's humans are far from perfect, but a lot of it's tied to incentives. So if you incentivize the healthy way that hey, you'll gain more followers by being more honest, being more objective. We're not all gonna know exactly the truth of the world, but at least having people that tend to give the truth is a strong starting point. Whereas like a lot of the mainstream media, they're either just like selling a narrative that their donors have given them, or just the lowest common denominator, whatever causes drama, whatever's going to get people to tune into their show, then they're going to make it sound, make sound worse than it is. So stuff like that is consistently happening.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of liked it when, because I believe it's Texas that has that new law where if you alter something with AI and put it like on the social media or whatever, that you have to mark it as such. I'm like, why isn't that all over the place? That kind of stuff. Like, I'm all for free speech, but altering images to make somebody famous or somebody important look like they're doing something wrong or just weird or yada yada yada, like that's not free speech to me. That's manipulation. So the fact that they say that needs to be marked, I mean, I'm like, that should be everywhere. That should be the same kind of rules for news. They should have to acknowledge when they're doing those things, because it's not that we don't want them to do it, because that's just how people are. But as long as you tell me that it's fake, then I can enjoy it more. And people won't think, oh, this is super true, and then continue on that lie that just keeps going and going and going.
Yeah, great point. Because I remember when I first saw that law that they're working on, it came from somebody that was talking negatively about it. But yeah, I was thinking about that. That does make sense, especially I mean, fake is a very scary concept in itself. Just the idea that these kinds of things can happen. That eventually we're gonna get to a point where you have no idea who is controlling that narrative. And the AI, it'd be scary. Like right now, we try to say oh, give me the evidence, but what if evidence is so purely able to be manipulated that you don't know if it's bullshit or not. So I understand how scary that is. So I do agree with like transparency of is this AI. I know it's people have a lot of different opinions around AI, but we use some AI in some of our social media content, and then even that some people don't care, some people do, but maybe we've been that in our descriptions be more clear when we're using it, what we're using it for, what parts was human made, what parts are not. Because that is a big moral conversation.
Yeah, it's more moral. For me, it's more of a conversation when you're using it to attack somebody. Like someone just having fun, but if you're using it and doing it for malicious purposes, that's when you're like, you know, something needs to be able to be done about this. Because at this point, there's a lot of times where laws haven't caught up with the technology. And the best example I can come up with is in New Mexico, it wasn't illegal to like record people in a bathroom for the longest time. And the only way they got that law passed was by going and putting fake cameras in the lawmakers' bathrooms and then approaching them and saying, hey, we just recorded you, you know, in there. And they're like, oh, trying to say, can't do that. And they're like, no, there's not a law against this. And quickly they, you know, did their job and made some kind of law against that. And it's like, well, you know, there's so many instances like that where we need to upgrade or, you know, update what our laws are and what we can and can't do in certain situations based off of the technology that we have now, because they're all old rules.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah. So to your point, it depends on how it's being used. Has to be a big variable. Yeah. Cool. Good point. So anyway, so getting into the topic here. So again, like Harry's saying, like so many people really on both sides. We've learned this bit episode. I think it was last week. That both sides demonize the other side so deeply, and you know people are portrayed with broad strokes. Like half the country looks like this crazy MAGA person, and half the country looks like this crazy super social justice, super far left person. And it's dangerous for both. Like we're human. There's complexities to everyone. Everyone's different. You know, there's a lot of different viewpoints in this country. And to demonize both part of it's just like the generalization in itself is bad, but then also the like we're talking about some of the language that's used, you know, like right now a lot of people are calling Trump a fascist, and then when we did our research, people are calling Bush a fascist, you know, several like a decade or so ago, and then actually Republicans are calling Democrats fascist. So like they use these extremes to like make people seem like they're so either purely evil or non-human. But like both sides are doing that, and it's just a dangerous path. Because it's still generalizing something that's not to that extreme in real life. And then that demonizing means you're like people literally thinking the other side is evil. Like that's so not. Like it's not a good understanding of society. You know, everyone we're all misguided to some extent, and it's really most people, not 100%, but most people they're trying to do the best they can. Like yes, people are going to care about their self-interest first, but they're generally not going to want to harm others. As long as they're getting what they need, they're okay. They wouldn't wish harm on other people. But you know that only happens when you're desperate, or there's some sociopaths, psychopaths, but that's a small percentage of the country. And then other than that, it's more desperation, or like really being being told that your way of life is being threatened. And there's so many parallels, because like both sides, like certain narratives on the right is that their way of life, people that are more traditional, religious, and that their way of life is being threatened, they're being pushed to speak a certain way, act a certain way. So they're worried about their way of life, and then the left is worried about their way of life, of like gay rights and reproductive rights and stuff like that. So it still boils down to the same thing, that people want to be able to live and do what they feel like they want to do for themselves, and not be forced to change in certain ways. So there's a commonality there. So you might not agree with their lifestyle, but if you want your own lifestyle respected, you should be able to respect those other lifestyles, even if you don't agree with it. And but it gets twisted in this current narrative and society where their lifestyle prevents you from having your their lifestyle prevents you from having your lifestyle.
But the media is convincing you of that. That's the main part, is that most people, it doesn't matter, but we've been so convinced by outside sources that the right is going to prevent the left from doing what they want, and vice versa. And it's like, well, it's not. really how it is. Because like I do feel bad. You see people who are saying, oh, we're going to leave the U.S. because of our rights are being taken away, and it's like, what rights have you actually lost? What rights are you in fear of losing? Like, tell me something specific, because I would like to fight for you and make sure that that doesn't happen, because I don't think that that should happen, but I don't see it happening. And that's where that vagueness comes in. It's like, well, if you give us specifics, we're more than happy to help you fight that fight. But you're just sitting here saying broad terms, and that's not, you can't fight a broad term. It's like saying better healthcare. Well, what does that mean? It's got to be specific, like lower cost. You actually don't have to wait 6 months to get an appointment. Those type of things. That's what better is in my book. But it could be different for somebody else. It's the same like with calling somebody a fascist. Not everybody knows the exact definition of these words, and they're using them wrong, or they come up with their own little interpretation of it. And I guess that's life. People do that, but that's the danger, is that we're all using the same words, but we all have different definitions of what they are in our head. And that's where we're not able to align, because nobody will sit there and listen enough to the other side to figure out where the disconnect is.
Yeah. Great point. Yeah. So these are all the issues, and again, us as FiNC, we're not here to we're not going to directly solve it. What we want to do is build infrastructure that gives you that chance. Not to sound conspiratorial, but there are a lot of people out there that have the power, have the influence. They want to keep us divided. They want the system to stay the way it is. They don't want us to be working together. And that's ultimately what causes most of these issues. And we want to build a system where that middleman is not there, that is twisting some of this information and these storylines. Actually, that's a really great way to say it. We're constantly hearing from the party leaders, from the news media, from those with the most money. But they're basically the middleman between us. And for the first time in history, we now have internet, and that's a way that you kind of don't need a middleman. Social media, there's a middleman because they build the infrastructure, and yes, they do nefarious things that don't help. But social media is the closest humans have ever gotten. All humans interconnect without that middleman. That yes, you need to use your infrastructure, but beyond that, if you have a powerful thing to say, you can spread it on social media, and it could be, people like it and share it, and it could spread just purely by people agreeing with it. So never in human history has that been a situation, and that's what FiNC wants to take advantage of and empower Americans by utilizing the digital age in favor of democracy and in favor of empowering you individually to get what you genuinely want. But part of that is understanding a little bit more of that divide. We all of us think that it's a horrible thing how divided we are, but there needs to be some work on all sides to get a little bit better understanding of what's going on. Try to demonize people a little bit less. If you on the left, if you hate Trump, that's fine, but that doesn't mean 50% of the country or everyone that voted for Trump is evil and somebody needs to be demonized. I've said this before. If you think Trump's a fascist, well, look at history. Virtually every time fascism has come to light, it's at a point when people were the most desperate. They felt they weren't getting their needs met. They felt so desperate that things had to change and are not changing. That's when fascism comes to rise. So if you really believe that's where Trump stands, then understand that what caused that. He didn't just pop up out of nowhere. People are desperate right now because there's a lot of struggling these days. The system is not the way it used to be, a decade ago.
Well, I mean, and that's where party perspective comes in too, because a lot of things that they're saying Trump is a fascist for is stuff Obama did, like deportation, stuff like that. Like, I haven't fact checked this myself, but I've heard that, he did it the exact same way, the exact same, law or whatever that Trump's using. So it's like, and actually has deported more over his, being president, so it's like, well, explain to me why he's this, but he's not. But it's because that's your guy and you hate this guy and you want to call him names versus, actually looking at what's happening and maybe help versus just perpetuating the problem.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the action clusters to where, we can just move past this and actually see where people stand, instead of the money, the power, and people on top making these decisions for us.
Yeah. It is a fact. I've looked at that. So what Carrie's referring to, at least this is in Trump's first presidency, that Obama deported more immigrants than Trump did in his first presidency. Like really soak on that. Like all this talk about what Republicans do with immigration, Obama literally deported more people than Trump. You can fact check this. Like that's insane, and most voters don't know that. And like this is that's a great example of misperception and conception of like what's going on in this country. Like you're like Carrie said it beautifully. Like when the other party does something, people are sensitive to it. But when their own party does it, they're blind to it. And a lot of it is just not knowing. Like I know the media would never say that out loud about Obama. They try to keep that secret basically. And that's the danger of the establishment is that they're going to protect their own side even by hiding truth. And that's where we've gone down a very dangerous path. A few decades ago, journalism was not in bed with politics. It was its own separate entity, and it would call people out. It didn't matter what party a president or any candidate was. They would do journalism. But now journalism is basically dead, except for now podcasts and like independent media instead of the mainstream media.
The main places I hear that is like, people on TikTok, the TikTok videos, Instagram videos, or people like those type of creators. The older millennial, he's really good at putting facts but where he stands. He's obviously right-leaning. So it's very obvious there's transparency in what he's making, and you take anything he says that's opinion with a grain of salt. But, I'm pretty sure most of the facts he says are correct because he knows he'll be called out and, probably lose his platform if he's over there spreading lies and something that's not correct. But CNN, nobody's going to check them if they are posting that and doing that.
Yeah. And that's a huge point. That's why we're trying to empower independent media and independent journalists is that they by nature they are more fact checked. They're held more responsible. Anything from again it's not perfect, but anything from an influencer, independent media, all that stuff. If they give false information, if they do they're shown to be dishonest. They get screwed over hardcore. I don't have the woman's name, but there's somebody like she was sponsoring a shampoo for a while, and they found out she never touched that shampoo, and she lost her career for a year or two. I think last I heard, slowly building it back. I know shampoo's a superficial thing. The idea of being accountable to be honest and giving a true intention, not trying to manipulate people. So independent media, influencers, there's a system of a little bit more accountability built into the way social media works. Where CNN, they're gonna, I'm sure there's somebody in the comments somewhere on CNN's videos saying something, but they're gonna bury it, they're gonna pay it away, they're gonna sue you away.
That's what I was just gonna say. That all boils down to the money backing that they have from it, because big media, they have insurance, they have money for lawyers, they have lawyers on standby that are ready to send you, letters and do whatever they can to bury you in paperwork. And these smaller creators, they just don't have that. They don't have access to that. They can't afford those policies, those insurance policies. And that's probably like you're saying that like the person you're talking about, I feel like I remember hearing like a Kardashian doing something similar, but she recovered pretty quickly because she already had that status, already had that insurance, already had, was way more a bigger, famous person than that person that you're talking about. So it just depends on where they start off at and how much money they have already. And how quickly you can recover from things. I think we were mentioning that earlier. Like, politicians aren't squeaky clean. They just have enough backing and money to hide their skeletons better than you and me.
Yeah. It's so true. So again, that's why as we're talking about the citizen-owned system that we're trying to build with you guys in America, basically the system we're building, everyone once it fully gets on its feet, every American will be able to opt into an equal ownership stake of this platform we're building. I, as the founder, won't own it more than you will. We would all have an equal stake in this. The idea is something that's a level playing field that's made for democracy for America. And it holds these people accountable to their truth. Both politicians and the media, they owe us a truth. If you're gonna lie, I don't know, there should be some kind of disclaimer. If you're, yes, we don't want to be in a scary world like people get arrested for being wrong. Like we know humans can be wrong, but there's a difference between wrong, being unintentionally wrong, and purposely misleading or purposely manipulating or selling a specific narrative. And that's the difference that we're really trying to fight over here.
And that's the difference that makes something, a crime versus an accident. When you have the intent to commit a crime, then it's a crime. But if you act, it's an accident, most of the time it's not really a crime. So, if you're not intending to spread misinformation, then you can be at least forgiven. But then you'll have to acknowledge it. It's wrong. I've made a mistake. And that's the difference, that most people don't ever go back and correct their mistake. They just forget about it and move on to the next, hot topic that they can manipulate and make you mad about.
Yeah. It's so true. So again, media and politicians, they're like kind of equally able to influence the system. I guess they're influencing in different ways. And so it's all these different groups. They need to be able to be held accountable to the American people. So again, just to kind of recap what we do, we're building a civic utility company. Basically, want to connect every American into a shared ecosystem, shared alternative political system that truly hold politicians accountable, and media accountable, or media in general accountable. And also interconnect different political organizations, movements, really build a level playing field for all organizations, all citizens, all media, all politicians to have a better chance. If we build a system where every candidate can be seen, every citizen heard, every journalist free to speak, people would grow based on merit and not spending the most money or being in bed with those in power. So that's so us ourselves, FiNC is like a civic utility company, more of a neutral referee to build the system. Start bring people into this fold in building like a shared system of checks and balance and a way for citizens to hold those in power accountable. Again, we don't stand on specific policy stances. Of course, each of us individually have our own opinions, but we just want every American to be empowered, give you the tools you need to bring transparency to government and the media, see what's really happening, and then make your own decisions on where you stand with policies and different issues in the country. But when push comes to shove, we just believe that if Americans truly had their own voice and the will of the majority really moved, was what dictated policy, and it's not just who spends the most money. It would be a much better world for all of us.
Just imagine how the people would feel. Like, they're going to be so much happier once they are actually represented. Like, the whole infighting, that's just going to melt away, because there won't be this need to be like, I hate you because you voted, against what I want. You understand that people are actually working with you versus against you, as opposed to, like, that's what we are now. We're all against each other versus how can I help you?
Yeah, 100%. So that's there's a lot of pieces to what we're doing. Like the three things that make us so unique. One is being, as we call, politically agnostic. It takes nonpartisan to another level of respecting everyone's political stances. Number two is that we're not counting on creating legislative change. We're changing the system from the outside. It all boils down to who gets elected. Ultimately is what changes everything. So if we could connect everyone into civic utility in this fairness grid, and change how we decide who we vote for, make it easier for people to decide who they vote for, vote better for candidates, get a legitimate understanding. I want this third party candidate, but I don't want to waste my vote. Well, we're going to help you with the viability, because that person stand a chance to win in the general election. We're going to build infrastructure that can help you determine that. And then if you want to still vote for the lesser two evils in a race, that's fine. If the other person stands enough of a chance that you want to make a flip, that's fine too. So that's part of what makes us unique. And then the third thing is just really utilizing the digital age and evolving the way politics works today. We don't have to do politics in the traditional way that we've been doing. It's not working, and there's a new way to do it. With the digital age, virtually everything else in society has moved with the digital age, and utilizes the internet. And just a lot of politics is still behind the eight ball, and so that's our third piece of what makes this radically different is helping grassroots organizations, politicians, and media utilize the digital world better than they can today. So those are part of what we're doing. We're going to start having guests on our show, like Main Street Party's coming soon. And we have different allies as we're building our own presence on social media. We're going to lifting other grassroots efforts as well. Just also why, as anyone that's listening in, the more you can share us, like us, follow us. It'll help us, and it'll help other people across the aisle, everything from libertarian, party, third parties, people in the two parties, anyone not looking to buy your voice, buy your vote, and actually want to earn your vote. We want to bring into this new space. And it's going to take a lot of research. It's going to take a lot to build what we're envisioning, but people are ready for change, and we're doing something that's not divisive. It's not going to only help one side. It's here to give every citizen a voice, and then build a future with our voices in mind, and not just the 1% and those with the most money and influence, basically.
Yeah, so definitely, if you know an organization or a group or work for one that aligns with what our mission is, and you feel like we should connect, definitely send us a DM and let us know who they are, so we can reach out and start building a relationship with them, because we wanted everybody under this umbrella. It's not going to work fully unless everybody's involved.
Exactly. Cool. So with that, definitely, keep checking us out. I apologize. I know this has not been the most. We're having some technical issues throughout this episode. Again, we're making some changes to the way our tech works. And I learned last minute that we still have some kinks to work out. So I'm gonna at least have these straightened out. Our next show is going to be next Tuesday, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. We have it on Tuesdays and Wednesdays at the same time. We're on Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. They're all recorded on YouTube and stays on YouTube. Yeah, so I apologize for the tech stuff, but part of it is we're building our own tech infrastructure so that we can plug in as we have new guests come on our show. And actually, I haven't told our team yet. I had a really great interview with a guy that might be joining our company, and he actually had this idea of us building a network of not only bringing guests on our show, but actually giving them their own shows. So mainstream party not our guests, but actually, yeah. No, but a lot of podcast people do this. They have a little internet podcast network. So not only have mainstream party as a guest on our show, but actually eventually giving them their own show on our network per se. I don't know exactly what it looks like. We'd have to talk it all out, but it's intriguing. Sounds like a cool piece. I don't know if we're 100% ready yet or soon, but building a network that empowers other grassroots voices on our network would be a cool thing to start building.
Yeah, anything that gets more voices out there and gets more eyes on better ideas, that's what we need.
Yeah. Yep. So bottom line, that is our core mission is empowering grassroots voices, giving people a digital voice, a louder voice. Anyone that's doing things honestly, grassroots style, and for the people, have a huge uphill battle in this country. Billions of dollars against them, the mainstream media against them, party gatekeepers against them. People, I don't think we've been talking a lot of citizens on social media, and not everyone understands how hard it is. With us, we're only citizen funded. We don't take any money from big corporations, PACs, no one that can buy influence on us. And that's a huge it adds a huge challenge for anyone that's trying to build a model like that. And so we're trying to take our own lead, build an infrastructure, and then interconnect other groups that do that. Again, regardless of what policy stance, they can be anywhere politically, and long as they're trying to build something grassroots style and not sell their soul. We want to build a network and give them a voice. So even if I personally disagree with that person, I want to give them all a voice and build this network that virtually everyone that's not part of the establishment, not part of buying influence would be in the same interconnected system. So that's ultimately what we're building. So there's a lot of different layers to it. Check out our website at futureis.org. On our socials is org. On TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Testing Substack. We're a little slow on Substack right now, but getting on all these different platforms. So check us out. Again, I apologize. Normally our tech is a lot smoother than this. But it's gotta work those kinks out, which I'll do by next week. But so we'll see you guys next week. Again, Tuesday and Wednesday. Check our website out if you want to learn more about our mission. We have a lot of different breakdowns on our website. Got a lot of solutions, a lot of things planned, and the more you see it, it's unique. It's not just parroting what everyone else is saying. We literally have a highly unique mission that we're saying stuff that no one else really said in this country. And
the best part is that your voice can have a say in shaping that going forward. That just because we have a solution now doesn't mean that if many people join in and say, hey, this is a better way, we're willing to change and be open to new ideas. That's difference. One of the main differences between us and other orgs is that they're set in their ways. They want you to do what they want to do. We want the people to come and tell us what they need, what they want us to do.
Great point. We literally want, like, our job is just to be, we kind of ideally we want to be on behind the scenes, lifting you up, give you guys a voice, let you shape the future, let you shape this meta movement of movements. We want to give you control over your future and society's future. We just don't want it in the hands of 1%. We want it in the hands of everyone, and let the majority in democracy, come to life. So yeah.
Creating the bones, you guys need to come and put the meat on it.
Cool. Carrie, any last words?
No, just thanks for letting me fill in for Liz these couple of days, and hopefully I'll be back more often.
Cool. I like having you do we should definitely do like a panel type situation soon. We'll be back to our normal flow next week. But again, thank you guys all follow us, check our website out, and we'll see you guys next time. Take care.